Okay, third generation wins. Third generation wins for having the best buffs in Pokemon Sun and Moon. Like, not even just FLYGON, but some of these are absolutely insane. And also, FLYGON gets Dragon Dance finally. After all of these years, I can't even remember how long people have been wanting Dragon Dance on FLYGON. Probably goes back to the third generation when both of these were introduced, and it's such a shame. FLYGON is one of the coolest dragon Pokemon, but we never got a chance to appreciate it in battle. The stats are okay, but then never getting Dragon Dance is just so unfortunate. But now, Pokemon Sun and Moon brings Dragon Dance, and I know why. In the 6th generation, FLYGON did not receive Dragon Dance because Masuda actually said in an interview that FLYGON and Milotic were planned to have Mega Evolutions in Pokemon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, but they couldn't get the design right, and they didn't want to let the fans down, so they decided to not put it in. And that means, like, if you give Dragon Dance and a planned Mega Evolution to a Pokemon, way too much. But in the 7th generation, no new Megas, so Dragon Dance on FLYGON. And now we can run these shenanigans. We can go for that Dragon Claw, we can get these Stab, Earthquake, and we can make it work. So this is stats, this is craziness. And then we also have Crunch, we can run some other moves if we want it. I mean, here's the thing, Garchomp doesn't even get Dragon Dance, so now FLYGON has a chance to do something. Does have a lot of weaknesses. Ground Dragon, Ice types will absolutely ruin you, and you do have to worry about Dragon type moves as well. But overall, you have a 100 base speed. You have a good foundation, which means you just run Adamant, you survive the first hit, and then you go for the Dragon Dance, and now your damage is absolutely nuts. You can Life Orb it, you outspeed everything. It's just so good. And we finally have that. So FLYGON finally getting some love. Going to see it much more often because Dragon Dance is such a crazy snowballing move. And then we also have Chimecho. So let's go into the other buffs because some of these are fairly substantial. Chimecho, plus 10 hit points, plus 10 defense, plus 10 special defense. So everything getting a buff. And actually, we might even see some more Chimecho because it does get the Cosmic Power. Cosmic Power boosts its defenses by 1 each. So with a hit points and defense buff, that's just great overall. And it also gets Stored Power. So now we have Cosmic Power, Stored Power. We can get Recover. And now we have a Sustain setup tank Pokemon that can just kind of toss in another move or even go for the Toxic Stall. So Toxic Stall, Stored Power, all kinds of stuff like that. Just pretty good overall when you're thinking about the tankiness. Like plus 10 to hit points. Okay. Plus 10 to hit points or defense or special defense. Okay, but it gets everything. Chimecho just gets buffed in every way for the tankiness, and that's going to be really nice to see going into these 7th generations. So you might want to watch out for the set. Chimecho is not super laughable anymore. Then we have Delcatty. So Delcatty is a Pokemon that hasn't impressed me over the years. Does get plus 20 to its speed, but speed buffs are kind of weird like that. If a Pokemon doesn't hit 100 base speed, it's not really outspeeding much, so I don't see Delcatty getting much of an advantage at 90 base speed, especially because new Pokemon like Silvally still have the 95 base speed, and a lot of new Pokemon, you know, if they aren't in that 100 range, they're going to be in that 90-ish range, so Delcatty going up to 90 base speed, I don't see it working really anywhere. But then we get to Illumise, and this is a mic drop right here. This is absolutely crazy. Illumise, plus 10 special defense, plus 20 to the defense. That is so... that's crazy. So I've already held Illumise in pretty high regards in the past because Prankster is so good. But the only problem with Illumise that wasn't really tanky, that you can still like eat a hit even after dropping the opponent down and bad things could happen. But now you have Roost, so you have Sustain, and then you can Charm the opponent with a boosted defense now. So Charm, lowers target's attack by 2. Free Prankster, they don't get to damage you, and that is on the 75 defense, and then Confide. So we're getting a special defense boost, and Confide, unfortunately it's only a lower by 1, but you Confide, and then you can also Roost. So you Charm, you can heal it up, you Confide, you can heal it up, and then you Toxic them. So pretty much this is going to be like the craziest thing to run with some kind of entry hazards, that if you have Spikes or Stealth Rock set up, Toxic the opponent, they try to break you down, you Charm them, you make them just barely tickle you with damage, then you can Roost it all back up, and now you're going to be even tankier doing that. So this is going to be more reliable, and Illumise does some absolutely nasty things as it is. So I think that's pretty awesome. And then we also have Volbeat. Volbeat gets the Tail Glow, and then it can also go and Baton Pass that Tail Glow. And guess what? It's also a Prankster Pokemon. So it gets to make use of this, and it also gains defense and special defense. So this is like one of those buffs I feel might be overlooked, but could actually turn into something crazy. Then we have Lunatone and Solrock. So these Pokemon gain plus 20 to their hit points, we don't see them too often. Again, we have like Cosmic Power and stuff like that, and then we can also Calm Mind into like damaging setups for the Lunatone and the Solrock. It doesn't really get too crazy for these Pokemon. Plus 20 on the hit points, more useful. So if it gets thrown out in a Pokemon battle, it will be better overall. And then we still get some more crazy ones. This is what I mean, like 3rd generation got the most buffs, and they also got the best buffs. Pelipper with Drizzle ability now. Do I need to say anything else? Do I need to say anything else? Like, Pelipper gets that Drizzle ability. And also, plus 10 to its special attack. So that means we have Stab, Hurricane on the Pelipper with more special attack and the Drizzle ability. So doubles combos into Swift Swim. Pelipper will be used more. So now you're not just restricted to the Politoed. You have some extra tech that you can throw in as well. And then more weather being thrown around is always a nice thing. Torkoal is also another Pokemon getting an ability change. Drought. For Torkoal, we have another Sunny Day setter that just isn't Charizard Y, that just isn't the Ninetales, but Torkoal bringing us Drought is going to be pretty good. Also, it's just a massive defense tank, and it can do some really sneaky things, like you use Yawn, and then you have Sun boosting, and then you can work with Shell Armor, so you don't have to worry about being crit. Torkoal, it's not a crazy use Pokemon, but it will get more usage in singles or doubles off of this. There's so many follow-up options, because now you have Chlorophyll sweeping. You can use Status, you can play around with it more, and that is going to be pretty awesome. Swellow getting a buff as well. So Swellow, it's like, how are they going to buff this Pokemon? Plus 25 to the special attack of Swellow. So now Swellow is going to have 85 attack and then 75 special attack with that 125 on the speed. So the speed is absolutely nuts. Now the reason why Swellow gains special attack is because it is one of the few boom bursting Pokemon. So now we just got a 25 base power boost to a Stab boom burst. You can run Timid Nature Choice Specs on the Swellow now, and it is just going to gain so much more damage. That's, like, this is actually good. Like, you think, oh, why would you throw it into a garbage stat like that? No. Now Swellow becomes specially viable on that boom burst. That's actually really crazy to think about. So pretty much what happens now is that it guarantees you a lot more KOs against just average sweeper Pokemon. Pokemon hovering around these 70s in hit points and 70s in special defense. Well, now you outspeed them because 125 base speed on the Swellow is absolutely nuts. And you have Scrappy. So let's take Gengar for instance. Actually, right now, you have a chance to KO Gengar on that boom burst. But now we go up to 75 on that special attack. We get way more damage on the boom burst, and that will snowball into the Gengar for a KO. So anything around like 70s and 80s and stuff, I'd see 80 hit points, 80 and 75 special defense is about the sweet spot. And now we also have KO potential on the 80-80 when we didn't have it before. So yeah, if you outspeed it and it's an uninvested, non-tanky Pokemon, you just go and win because of that boom burst. So that's actually really cool. I know there's a lot of diehard Swellow fans out there, especially with that Scrappy. You just connect on so many things to make it work. Actually, does Chandelure go down to that? So let's just take like a Choice Spec Chandelure. Yeah, Choice Spec Chandelure goes down to this boom burst right now. So those are the ranges. 60 base hit points, 90 on that special defense. It works. I know there's those diehard Swellow fans out there loving that boom burst Scrappy, running that special Swellow. You even have options with like Heat Wave and stuff, so against other like Steel type Pokemon, come in with a super effective hit. Swellow just does the work, and now with that special attack boost, it actually makes a lot of sense. We have Sharpedo receiving an interesting kind of buff. It just gets Psychic Fangs, so that means on the Mega Sharpedo, it will get boosted damage if you want to run that to stop Light Screen Reflect strategies. Also, Mega Pokemon are interesting. Mega Pokemon did receive a buff, so you can go and check out that video. Hopefully, I remember to put it in the description. Any of the 3rd gen or any of the Pokemon I talk about in that video did receive a buff to their speed, which means if they Mega Evolve, they get the speed on that turn. So Gardevoir becomes a 100 base speed Pokemon on the turn it Mega Evolves, and all kinds. Salamence gets a ridiculous buff. Mega Metagross gets a ridiculous buff because of that. So that's what we're dealing with right there. And then Masquerain, another buff. Oh my goodness, Masquerain. Plus 20 to the special attack, plus 20 to the speed. So now Masquerain with that 80 on the speed means just one Quiver Dance, and the opponent is going to have a bad time. Also, with that special attack buff, 100 on the special attack means Masquerain gets to do some silly things. It also has some of the craziest kind of setup that, okay, you can go and run Ice Beam, Quiver Dance on the Masquerain. Done. That's damage. Now you just set up and you take down Dragon Pokemon with this. The Masquerain going to make that Quiver Dance work out really well. Then we also have our Bug Flying, you know, we can go for Air Slash, we can go for Bug Buzz. We can find those extra little bits of coverage right there, but the Masquerain does really well. Also has Intimidate, so you're boosting your special defense, you're intimidating them so they might not KO you with your lower defense and hit points, and then you're just good to go right there. Running whatever item you want, you can go with a Life Orb, Focus Sash, something like that, and it's just going to be more useful overall. So Masquerain finding those KOs. That's kind of what we're looking at for the 3rd generation buffs. Like I said, 3rd generation wins so well. Just all these other crazy buffs. Illumise, Chimecho, Flygon. I mean, all these Pokemon are going to find some usage at some point. Torkoal, Pelipper, for sure. Swallow, yes. Masquerain, yes. Pretty much everything that got touched, except for like the Delcatty, is going to make use of the buffs in the 7th generation and become even better. So if you guys enjoy the video, hope you all have a nice day. Thank you very much for watching.